Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of CLAT FUNDA presented to you by Nirma University Institute of Law. This is the second segment on reading comprehension. Reading comprehension is such a part of the test which is full of possibilities and problems. If you master the strategies, you may score full marks. If you are not careful enough, you may end up spending unnecessarily long duration of time on the passage for reading comprehension. One has to read the passage, comprehend it, and answer the questions correctly and quickly. Before we go into the methods for dealing with these multiple tasks, let's see why reading comprehension. No wonder reading comprehension is an important component in several competitive examinations. Reading is a major communicative and cognitive skill. Like listening, reading posits you as a receiver of communication. One has to train the brain to be an efficient reader because reading helps you assimilate, interpret, and retain information and knowledge. By testing your reading comprehension abilities, what is being evaluated is your efficiency as a learner. It goes without saying that in order to sharpen your linguistic, communicative, and cognitive skills, it is necessary to enrich your ability to read with good speed and deeper level of comprehension. In order to master the strategies for tackling the passage for reading comprehension, one should realize what is being tested or evaluated through the exercise for reading comprehension. One has to approach reading as a skill. For gaining mastery over a skill, it is necessary to practice it. This is a proven fact. Now you have ample time to prepare for CLAT. Make it a practice to solve passages for reading comprehension every day. Many a time, an unknown and complex passage in the examination fills you with anxiety, which kills your confidence and slows down your cognitive ability. Constant practice makes you more confident and efficient. Try to read passages on a variety of topics and from diverse disciplines. Be mindful of new words and expressions. Pay attention to the complexities of sentence structure. Notice how ideas are stated, structured, and elaborated. How arguments are substantiated. Develop the ability to interpret verbal cues to reach correct inferences. Read the lines carefully and read between the lines. Be an active reader. By being an active reader, you become an active co-creator of knowledge, not just a passive receiver of information and ideas. It is important to know what is being evaluated through the exercise of answering the questions based on a passage for comprehension. I have looked at several such passages in competitive examinations, especially CLAT. I realize the following aspects are often emphasized. Reading is a skill mediated by language. For understanding a passage quickly and correctly, linguistic competence is essential. It means a rich vocabulary, knowledge of phrases and idiomatic expressions and the like are quite useful in gaining mastery over reading comprehension. Exposing oneself to a language environment would help immensely. English idioms can be challenging. For example, who would imagine that break a leg means good luck? Phrasal verbs might pose some difficulty. Conscious effort to enrich one's vocabulary is required. There are questions that can easily be answered if you have a sound knowledge of words and their meanings. Consider this particular example. If you know the meaning of the word rapacious, solving this question is very easy. Rapacious means greedy, grasping, and ravenous. In other words, showing a strong wish to grab things for oneself. When the CEO of Thrift Insurance, who wants to outsource certain operations to M Technologies, accuses the tech firm of having a rapacious client policy, he is indirectly suggesting that the firm is charging the clients excessively and should reconsider their client policy. But what if you don't know the meaning of rapacious? The clue lies in the adjective used for the smile. You cannot say anything pleasant with an ironic smile. The CEO doesn't have anything good to say about the client policy of M Technologies. One can safely eliminate option A because it is stated clearly in the beginning that the CEO intends to outsource certain operations. In option B, there is a trap. One may easily mistake rapacious for capacious, which sounds similar. The word capacious means very spacious and accommodating. But if you know the meaning of rapacious, you don't have to look at other options. You can safely arrive at the correct answer, which is option C. Linguistic competence is not limited to knowledge of words, idioms, and phrases. As the examples illustrate, you may encounter long and complicated sentences. You have to sometimes deal with ambiguity. In the first example, the author plays with many meanings of the word subject. Subject of discourse, agent of action, and the topic of study. Examine the examples for ambiguity. In the first one, there is a pun on the word lies, which leads to two possible meanings. The first meaning, more can be expected in future. And the second, more lies would be told. Look at the second example. I have never tasted anything like this before. Doesn't give you an idea whether the taste was good or bad, or whether the speaker liked the taste or not. Reading more and more would make you increasingly comfortable with complexities and ambiguities. The previous presentation on reading comprehension, which is part of the CLAT FUNDA series, would help you understand the concept of analytical ability better. There is a variety of passages, and one should be able to distinguish between a factual passage, a narrative passage, an argumentative passage, an analytical passage, and the like. Active reading, which makes you engage with the what, why, who, when, where, and how of the passage needs to be practiced. You shouldn't limit yourself as a passive collector of factual information. You may read the passage to form an overall perspective on it. You should be able to identify the tone and direction of the author's arguments. You be alert to the main arguments and how they are being substantiated in the course of the passage. The author's perspective and what you can infer about it and beyond it could prove useful. Map the passage in your mind. Tell a story about it. Visualize it. Summarize it. And this approach would help you answer some general questions. What is this passage about? Suggest a suitable title and the like. In your school days, the teacher must have told you to read the questions first and then search for and locate the answers in the passage for comprehension. This approach works only for factual comprehension. For example, if you have a statement in the passage, Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India, was a visionary. You can answer the question, who was the first Prime Minister of India, by following the strategy of reading the question first and then searching for the answer in the passage. But questions are seldom fact-based or direct. Very rarely do you find questions like this in CLAT, which require a direct and factual approach. Even in the example given, though it is a somewhat direct question, some analysis is required for arriving at a correct answer. Now we are moving to a trickier terrain of questions which require careful reading between the lines. When you are required to make an inference, be mindful about a few aspects. One must understand what the question means. Then look for verbal cues in the passage. Inference is not a wild guess. It's an intelligent process that necessitates the elimination of wrong options. One shouldn't be led by the nose by prejudices and prior knowledge. The example will adequately illustrate this. Here is a question that demands the application of your ability to make inferences. The passage doesn't have a direct factual answer to the question about the Native Americans, but the verbal cues are present in the passage. You can eliminate the option D because it's clear that the Native Americans actually welcomed the pale-skinned visitors. They were not afraid of the outsiders. If you are a prejudiced European supremacist who believes that the indigenous population could very well be unhealthy and unhygienic, you might choose a wrong option. That is option B. Remember the warning. Don't be led astray by your prior notions and preconceived ideas or prejudices. It is clearly stated in the passage that the natives couldn't stomach or tolerate the arrogance of the newcomers and the scant respect they paid to nature. So we can eliminate option A. The natives were not careless about their environment, and select the right answer, which is option C. The Native Americans were more respectful of nature. Finally, there can very rarely be questions that require some prior knowledge of things. You cannot depend solely on the passage for the answer. Consider the expression Van Gogh's Van Goghs. You must know who Vincent van Gogh was and what he did in order to find the correct answer, which is option A. The other options seem possibly correct if you know nothing about Vincent van Gogh. For example, can't Van Gogh be a rich collector who was interested in making the artist paint rare and unusual portraits of himself? Can't he be a sculptor? Can't he be an artist who made rare portraits which are found in other people's collections? So if and only if you know that Vincent van Gogh was an artist interested in painting multiple portraits of himself which were unusual and rare, you will be able to arrive at the correct answer.